So I'm here to talk about my book, which is called I Heart Politics. It's out 2 weeks on Thursday. And I'm very excited because this is the first time I've seen more than one copy in the wild. They're at the back, and it's kind of amazing. So I'm not here to persuade you of any particular politics or political figure. I'm just here to talk about how fandom has made everything weird in politics. Because it's something that I came from fandom, of being a fan of things. And then I noticed that people were behaving the same way around politics that they were behaving around the Marvel universe, Taylor Swift, Doctor Who. Particularly when we got to Brexit, when everything got really weird. So my notes are on my phone because I'm a modern person and also because I drop paper everywhere. I'm going to start with a little anecdote to show what I mean. So, whether or not you're a fan of the royal family, everyone has been getting very into conspiracy theories around Kate Middleton and where is she, right? Even if you don't like her, the memes are worthwhile. Kate Middleton in the Glasgow Wonka experience that went wrong. Kate Middleton with crime dramas saying, oh, well, those people, they would know where Kate is. Dodgy Photoshop memes, all of the rest of it. And the thing is, we all love gossip, right? Everything is entertainment at the end of the day, particularly now we've all got our group chats, we're all on our socials, we're all sharing bits of information and jokes. It's how we get along with each other. And that's also how we treat politics. So there are a bunch of people who were not really very online until a few years ago, when they got into Brexit stuff or Trump stuff or climate stuff. So previously, maybe they'd been on Facebook, right? And they had their friends and family on there. Or they'd been on Twitter and LinkedIn and they did their work stuff. But suddenly they were getting very, very animated about other things in their lives, and it became very, very important to them. And they started talking to people they didn't know online and in real life. And suddenly, when I was at the bus stop, instead of people talking to me about the weather or the state of potholes, they were talking to me about some stuff to do with politics. And I was like, hang on, I'm a nerd about this, but normal people are not. Why are they talking to me about indicative votes? This is just bizarre. And then I found every time I posted or anybody else posted something about politics online, a bunch of people would flood in to tell you not just that you were wrong, but to defend it as if you were talking about their mum. So if you say something about a political figure online now, whether it's good or bad, a flood of people will come in to either agree or disagree with you. So if you say, I don't think Julian Assange left, the Ecuadorian embassy in a very good state. It just looked a bit messy and his beard was terrible. A whole bunch of people will come in and go, Julian Assange is the worst thing to ever happen ever, and he's a terrible threat to security. And just these are people that you don't know, and they've just searched for Julian Assange, and they just really want to tell you this, and they're obsessed with telling you this, because being an anti-fan of something is a bigger deal as being a fan of something. And then a bunch of other people will come in and tell you, how dare you, I will just copy and paste all of this stuff about the Julian Assange cage, and I just really want to tell you about it in a really obsessive way. And that's exactly how it is when you talk about fandom. If you talk about a football team, and other people who are fans of that football team will come in to tell you why you are wrong. Other people who are not fans of that football team will come to tell you why you're wrong. And that totally happens in politics as well. So I will now get my notes out because I do not want to drift off topic. I have ADHD, it's very important. So, do you remember, 2015, when David Cameron promised that there would be a referendum about the EU in the election? And so did Ed Miliband, because he had to. But for both of them, it was really about party management. It wasn't we always knew that the Tory party were tearing themselves apart about the EU forever. But your average person did not have an opinion one way or another, right? They did not care. In 1997, I've gone back and watched the 1997 election night coverage. Partly because I'm a nerd, and also to make funny gifs of things that were happening on that night, because it's really quite entertaining. But if you look at that, they did a graph in 1997 of is the EU good or not, or should we leave or not? And it was basically the same as it was in 2016. You know, it was super close. It was like 49 one way and 51 the other. And that's basically how it's always been. People just didn't really care, but it was roughly split between the two. And then suddenly, everyone was identifying as a Remainer or a Brexiteer. And you've got people telling you, no, I can't go to Wetherspoons, not because it's shit, or, you know, I don't really like the food or whatever, but they're going, I can't go to Wetherspoons because Tim Martin backed Brexit and he's a horrible man. And you're like, okay, need some water. I'm at the end of the cold, so forgive me if I drink more than usual. I don't know if you know a lot about capitalism, but most businesses are not run by very nice people. You probably disagree with them on quite a lot. I mean, you know, that's how it is. And people would be telling me that it was really, really important that we got parliamentary sovereignty back. And I'm like, Jeff, all you normally want to tell me about is how much you like Michael Bublé. Why have you suddenly started to care about the EU? And it's because everything now works like fandom. And see, fandom is an important word because it's not just being a fan of something, right? Like, anyone can like or dislike something on their own. You can just go, I like Taylor Swift, I like some of her songs. Cool, chill. If you kind of go, I like Taylor Swift, and that's really important to me, and that says something about who I am, and then you talk to other people about Taylor Swift, which is a completely normal thing to do, and you join the group chats, and you're kind of going, let's get tickets for the Eras tour, then you've become part of the fandom because you've joined this little community of other people who care about that. And that's what's happened with politics now as well. Now, it's always been here in that people have always been fans of individual politicians, of political movements, but the social media world has just like accelerated that stuff. It's made it easier to find your people, which is brilliant because the old institutions that we used to have for finding people, events like this are great, but you know, people used to have church, they used to have work, they used to have trade unions, they used to have social clubs. Those are all kind of gone. So to find the people who are like you, it's usually via shared interests. And why not politics? Why not find the people who want to get involved in climate activism? That's cool. Why not find the other people who really, really want to do something around mutual aid around communities? Why not find the other people who just really, really want to make jokes about Grant Shapps? Because my girlfriend is here. She's not into politics. She's no idea who Grant Shapps is. She lives a blessed life. But, you know, I know that he has loads of different aliases and that he's had every job in British politics. It's a curse. But that's how we are. And that's, you know, that's what my book goes into. And it starts to talk about what people are getting out of fandom. Like, lots of people used to tell me all the time, all politicians are the same and I hate them. So why are you doing a book about called I Heart Politics, right? And initially, it was I Heart Politics, heart the emoji, but then we had metadata problems, because like libraries and bookshops, ordering systems, they can't have emojis in the searching system. But it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but if we don't care about politics, what do you get? And what we get is what we had in sort of around 2000, 2001, where everything seemed settled and normal, but not that many people voted. So the US election in 2000, people saw it as a foregone conclusion. Not that many people voted. They didn't care about politics. They thought, no politician cares about me. 2001 in the UK, we didn't even hit 60% of people voting in the general election. That isn't really a good thing. Like, there are people who go, I want it to be normal, I want it to be calm. It's lovely that Keir Starmer is just a vibeless vibe. I just want it to be calm and normal. But actually, do you? Because what we saw after all of that period where everything seemed straightforward and normal and nobody really voted because they all seemed the same, was massive unrest, was the Iraq war protests where we just didn't get listened to if you voted. If you marched in that, it just didn't matter. And you couldn't say anything about it with your vote, because in 2005, what were you going to vote for? That Tory party? No, we still had to vote for Labour and get Labour back in. So you didn't really have an option to have your voice heard. And that's what people really want now, is to have their voice heard. I'm going back to my notes because it's very important. Oh, yes. Here we go. Yes, right. So, Keir Starmer. We had the lovely sales pitch about Keir Starmer earlier by Tom Baldwin. It was great stuff. And it is important to sort of demystify people like that and find out more about what makes them tick, particularly since he is very likely to become Prime Minister, even if Labour don't get an outright majority. But not only is Keir Starmer going to inherit a terrible economy and the world in a weird state, particularly if Trump gets in, if he only wins because the Tories have lost, which is sort of how it is at the moment, because if you look at focus groups, polling, word clouds, the news programmes love a word cloud to show what people think of Keir Starmer, the biggest thing that they come up with is don't know. However ordinary he supposedly is, people don't feel like he's on their side. So what happens when you then get in and you need that consent from the people to govern when things are difficult? You don't really have it, and it all goes wrong. So people who kind of say, oh, I want it to be calm, I don't want personality politics, I don't want people to be animated by all this stuff and super engaged and going marching on the streets. Well, if you don't have that, then people are just atomized. They're like not part of the conversation, they don't feel listened to. And so you end up with everything falling apart, which is not good. Look at the US. Biden got in the last time, but really narrowly. And the turnout was high there because people cared. This time, if Trump gets in, it'll also be quite narrowly. And their society's in chaos. So you have to have something that people care about and feel hope about. Because for all the things that went wrong in 1997, well, it didn't go wrong in 1997, but for all the disappointment that people felt with New Labour after 1997, they felt that things could get better. Perhaps not could only get better, like the song goes, but they did have some sense of hope that things were going to change. And people need that sense of hope. So when we look at young people now being involved in climate movement, part of it's a bit doomery, going like, we've not got very long to save humanity from extinction or to save biodiversity from extinction. But also some of it is hope that they can turn that around. And if they didn't have that, they wouldn't bother. They'd just become nihilistic and hate everything. I don't want people to hate everything. I want people to find joy. And one of the things I write about in my book is about the great joy that people have been able to find by being involved in politics, because politics is social. It's finding your community. It's kind of a bit sad when political parties, when people join, just go, or you can deliver some leaflets. You can do some canvassing, have some doors shut in your face. You can give us some money for the raffle. Great. But actually what people respond to really well when they join a political party is going to things like fundraising dinners. Not because they really like bad food or spending lots of money inflated money for a curry, but because they get to meet people. They get to meet people who share their values, and they also get to meet politicians. Like, it's quite a big sell. I know some of them are awful, but like, if you have a fundraising dinner and you get one of the big names to come, people are actually dying to get a selfie with them. Why not? Why not let people have fun the same way they have fun if they go to a Disney park? Or the same way they have fun if they come here and they see dogs, which is amazing. That joy you have when you see a dog in the street, you should be able to have that. People have done amazing creative things out of being interested in politics and really passionate about it and loving it. Some of them are things that are really good for society, like things like mutual aid groups, like things like litter picks, which seems basic but really makes your area better, like creating resources for young people, like doing activism around climate, around LGBTQ+ issues. That's brilliant. But some of it's just really daft. And that's also brilliant. People have written ridiculous parody songs. People have made amazing memes that you've spread with your friends, and that's great. And they give us a lift at the end of the day. And that's a really lovely thing that keeps us engaged with the issues that are going on and means that we don't become apathetic and we don't just only care about ourselves. But it also gives us creativity. It's fantastic. People have made incredible handmade banners, they've made films, they've made art, there's been some beautiful exhibitions. Just like people slag off Jeremy Corbyn fans, but they've created whole festivals and conferences that talk about all kinds of things, and those will have lasting ramifications. It shouldn't all be about the electoral cycle. That's a really good thing that people get to do. I need to drink some more water, because I've been talking. And also, once again, check my notes. We do that. Oh yeah, that's it. The thing is, if people don't have those spaces, it's not only that they become nihilistic, it also creates an opportunity for people who have bad intentions to get in. And there's a lot of talk about the left behind, and a lot of people didn't vote for Trump necessarily because they felt left behind. That's kind of an oversold narrative. There's too many people for that to be true. But if people don't feel heard, then they'll vote in ways that you don't want them to. So Parliament, all over the parties and all over the factions, are absolutely shitting themselves. Don't clip that bit for socials, thank you. Are absolutely shitting themselves about George Galloway getting elected. And I hold absolutely no brief for George Galloway. I think he's a terrible person. He's very charismatic, sometimes right on some of the issues. But people had not been listened to about their feelings about Gaza, right? The mainstream parties were not listening to them. The Labour Party was trying so desperately to control selections to keep the left out that they brought in somebody that was a friend of the Blairites, but they didn't do any due diligence on him whatsoever, so they had to get rid of him because he'd made more anti-Semitic remarks than any Jeremy Corbyn fan they could find anywhere. The Greens had to get rid of their candidate. The Lib Dems had to too. After Galloway, the second person who got in was the second biggest number of votes was for an independent. Nigel Farage keeps coming back like the worst fart ever. And you could argue, oh, but just like half of the country is racist, so like that's just going to happen. But no, it's not. He's just an opportunist. That's the thing about Nigel Farage. He doesn't really have any very, very strong beliefs. He doesn't, yes, he does believe in being outside of the EU. But other than that, he'll go, what's bothering people now? What's bothering people now that I can get in on, right? LTNs. People don't understand LTNs or ULEDs, but they feel a bit pissed off about it. And people who want to believe in positive politics, what we should be doing is going, hey, right, do you know what these things are actually for? Here's the positives of them. They're really great for these reasons. But we don't do that. We don't do positive stuff. We just do Project Fear. And then all going, well, actually, and patronise people. And so it's very easy for Nigel to come in and go, take back control. There's a war on the motorists. There's woke. Woke did everything. Woke is killing you. Apparently, trans people are taking over the country, according to The Telegraph and according to Suella Braverman. It's news to me. I live in Leeds on a 1950s council estate. Where's my bit of the money? It's not happening. You can throw scapegoats all over the place if you want to do negative stuff, if there's no positive stuff coming from the other side. Because there's two different kinds of fandoms in politics, right? There's fandoms of positive solidarity, where people are working towards something because they believe in it and they're positive and they want to work with other people to achieve this goal and they're excited about it. And then there's fandoms of negative solidarity, where you give people a scapegoat and you tell people everything's awful, but these people did it, or that group did it, or that thing did it. You know what? If you get rid of the EU, solve all your problems. If you get rid of trans people, if you get rid of immigrants, it'll solve all your problems, and that's no good. So if we want to kind of move forward and do something really great, and I am wrapping up here, don't worry.
I was just going to get just going to allow time to have a few audience questions. We've only got 5 minutes left.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want to kind of do something about it, when people have questions, when people feel left out, give them something positive to look at and draw them into a good, positive politics world rather than go being a fan's an idiot's game, because being a fan is fun.
Great. Thank you, Phoenix. That was so good.